Hey everyone, my name is Kevin Burr, and I want to tell you about my podcast, Faith in the Folds, a podcast for ministry, biblical studies, and general Christian living. Our content will be most relevant for church members and church leaders, and I'd like to highlight the good and interesting things my friends, colleagues, and mentors are doing. And even if you're not a Christian, but you're interested to know more about the Bible and Christian teaching and practice, I want to welcome you to the channel. The title, Faith in the Folds, is inspired by the following lines from George MacDonald's Diary of an Old Soul. I search my heart. I search and find no faith. Hidden he may be in its many folds. I see him not revealed in all the world. Duty's firm shape thins to a misty wraith. No good seems likely. To and fro I'm hurled. I have no stay. Only obedience holds. I haste, I rise, I do the thing he saith. George MacDonald was a Scottish minister, author, and poet. Born in 1824 into a highly educated family, George MacDonald is sometimes credited as being the founding father of the modern fantasy genre of literature. His work influenced writers such as J.M. Barrie, the author of Peter Pan, as well as G.K. Chesterton, and even, to some degree, Mark Twain. But perhaps the most famous authors influenced by MacDonald's work were none other than J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. I know my own thinking has been deeply shaped and influenced by C.S. Lewis, so when I first heard Lewis sing George MacDonald's praises, I got the first things I could find from him. As it turned out, MacDonald's Diary of an Old Soul was exactly what I needed at that time in my life. An honest reflection on life, when God can seem at times near and at times very far. Feeling may be fleeting, and everything around us can give way, but obedience is my choice. I haste, I rise, I do the thing he saith. With this podcast, I want to take a deeper dive into the lives and work of people like George MacDonald and even Tolkien and Lewis and others. Whether a relatively unknown figure like MacDonald, or seemingly larger-than-life figures like Lewis and Tolkien, I think there's more to find beyond their greatest hits. In their deep cuts, too, they're hidden gems to find if we just know where to look. And just like Tolkien and Lewis, who studied, in a sense, under MacDonald, I want to use this podcast to continue my own study of God, His work in the world, and His Word in the Bible. I want to interview friends and colleagues, mentors, and experts about all kinds of topics related to Christian living and ministry, and understanding this sometimes strange but undeniably extraordinary collection of books, letters, and poetry we call the Bible. This means I'll dig into topics like the social, cultural, and religious world of the Bible. We'll talk about Christian ethics, and we'll hear from veteran ministers share advice with younger ministers. We'll talk about what ministry looks like after a local tragedy, and how the church and the academy ought to work together, and how Christians, especially in the U.S., can engage the culture around us, and many other topics. Now, I'm not going to agree with everything my guests say, and I don't expect them to agree with me on everything either, but that's okay. I think there's a strange mix of arrogance and fear if we only ever talk to people we always agree with. On the one hand, we're arrogant because we believe we have everything figured out and there's no longer any need to search for truth. But on the other hand, there's often a sense of fear that someone might irreparably shatter our cherished and long-held ideas about reality. But just like a sapling that has to push through the dirt to find the light, we too must be challenged if we hope to keep growing. These open and challenging conversations are the kinds of conversations I like to see. Honest, respectful, and engaging discussions about God's Word and what He's doing in the world today. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, would you be willing to help ensure we can have more of these conversations by liking and following our Facebook page, Faith in the Folds, or liking the video and subscribing to our YouTube channel, or finding us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify? Thanks again for joining us, and may God's grace and peace be with you.